We'll start this podcast someday.
We're coming for Joe Rogan. Yeah. All right, Chris, you're good to roll whenever you want.
Okay, we're live. All right, what's up, everybody? So, episode 9 of Wide Open with Chris Burandt. We're live here. Well, not live, but we're here at Heydays 2019 and Rosco.
Yeah.
What's up, bud?
Dude, we got to this level. We're doing it.
Dude, so. we have stepped up our game. Actually, you have. We are able to be here and be in front of the fans, in front of the people. And today, we have our first live guest besides my parents.
Yeah.
And so Keith Curtis. We have so Keith. If for those of you who don't know who Keith Curtis is, you probably live under a rock in the snowmobile world.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Keith, what's up, dude? Glad to have you.
Yeah, man. It's another year at Heydays. Always good to come here and meet and greet and see all my buds. And see Roscoe with his pink shirt on with donuts, and Burandt just getting ripped every day, working out in the mornings, and just trying to keep up with these two.
Man, I'm so you're talking about keeping up with me, and I'm talking about keeping up with you. So let's just dive right into this. So last year, Keith, let's go back 2 years actually. You didn't have the dominant Keith Curtis year like you that were. Well, this is what's funny, right? This is the expectations you've put yourself at. Right? Year before you win everything, just about.
Yep.
The next year, so 2 years ago, you do really well. Didn't sweep Jackson, and so how hard is it that someone looks at what you did at Jackson and you're just like, well, I still won this and this and this, but you didn't have the pure dominance, and then this year just come and knock everybody's socks off. Talk about the mindset. Talk about what it's like to be in that position.
Yeah, so racing is it's an interesting ordeal in the grand scheme of things, and some years are good, some years are better, and obviously I'm shooting for the best possible results ever. And this last season, 2019 season, was incredible. I ended up with 32 out of 35 first place finishes. All 5 points titles. I swept Jackson. All the King titles. I did get a second in 8 mods. So that means there is room for improvement next year.
Yeah.
So, going from Jackson 2018 to Jackson 2019, I had some sponsor changes, and all that kind of reflects on how I do, and I reflect on how I do as well. It's not just sponsors, but sponsors have a big part to do with it and feeling comfortable on my product. And this season, just everything came together. The course was technical. There was a lot of snow. The trenches were deep, and the hills always gnarly. So, it's awesome this year was a dream come true. I've always wanted to pull the Triple Crown at Jackson, and it was incredible. Incredible feeling, and just everything, all the stars aligned,
Well, I actually was watching the live feed, the Jackson Hole Snow Devils. They do a great job of being able to, for the people who can't make it, being able to watch it live stream. And I tell you, I was more nervous for you than you were nervous. What's so cool is, so I've got to compete at Jackson and run the hill, and what absolutely blows my mind is that you make it up every time. And not only do you that was always my goal. Man, I just want to make it. But you make it, and it's tenths of a second that really matter.
Definitely.
And I think that's your comfort level at that. And that's something that we've talked about a lot on the podcast, of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right?
Yep.
And you were right on that verge of, obviously you still need to make it, but then you need to be really fast too.
Right, yeah. And it's just like you guys in the backcountry. Except like on the race course, I feel as comfortable as you guys do climbing through the trees in the backcountry. It's just a matter of getting the seat time and practice, and feeling comfortable on that sled, and knowing how that sled's going to react when you hit a mogul, or when you go through a trench, or if you tap a ski off of a rock, or when you go through the rock garden and your track's going to hit a rock, and you're compensating, you're forecasting before you actually hit something. So you hit a rock, and the sled's going to react a certain way, and you react the counter way of that, and you obviously want to be smooth and fluent and work your way up the mountain as fast as you can, because sometimes it comes down to thousandths of a second between a first and a second place finish. So you're leaving nothing for, the second place guy to come and beat you. You want to win.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go. I'm just listening to you two roll.
Yeah. I mean, this is awesome. And Keith, there's I always get asked, who's someone that either you've looked up to or who you look up to in the industry. And I'll be honest, you're a person that I look up to, even though you're younger than me. And because I respect talent and I respect excellence, and I think to be able to dominate something that is hard and something that I can relate to. I just have a lot of respect for that. And you and I, we're one of the few individuals that get to make a living in this industry. One of very few. And the only way we've been able to do it is A, hard work, and B, being the best. And so I think that's really cool. But rewind. What was the year? Let's see. I was still on CAT, and you came in, and so I'm grabbing my third place trophy at Jackson. I've only made it up on a
I didn't know you got a third place.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I've only made it up on a 600. That's
Okay.
the only sled I've ever on a turbo. I was just an absolute crap show, right? I
think everyone's seen the videos.
Yeah,
of that.
everyone's seen the video of me rolling in the crowd and all of that stuff. But so that year, I'm at the awards banquet, all proud about my one trophy, and every class they said, 800 stock, Keith Curtis, 800 mod, Keith Curtis, King of Kings, Keith Curtis. I'm like, who is this dude?
He's like 17.
Yeah, and back then, no sponsors. You might as well have been wearing jeans like Brett Rasmussen out there.
Right.
And so talk about a little, like, the program has changed so much, right? I mean, almost a little bit like snowcross, right? You used to be able to be the weekend warrior, show up, go race. If you did halfway decent, you could even get on the podium. It is not at that level now. I mean, whether it's fitness, equipment, your overall program, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, watching the sport progress, and I'm fortunate and lucky to be one of those guys that has helped progress the sport in a lot of ways, from rider technique to nutrition to working out to the whole realm of things, to state of mind, to having the best equipment out there, and realizing how important that is to having the best equipment out there, and moving forward 100% with confidence and equipment. And yeah, seeing the sport progress and watching and being there and being part of it, and seeing the athletes progress as well.
Yeah. I
mean, I'll take some steps forward, and the other athletes will take some steps forward, and it's this constant game of progression. And that's a great way to keep me on my tiptoes and keep me propelling and moving forward. And it's no different than you with Ross and Kyle always pushing you. These guys are always chomping at your heels and stuff.
Yep.
And it's awesome. You look up to me, and dude, I look up to you guys. And I mean, it's amazing to watch you three just feed off of each other all the time and grind up these mountains and stuff. And Burandt, you're the OG, man. It's when we go riding the backcountry, it is so fun to rally up with you on the side of a mountain through some trees and try to get everyone else stuck behind us.
Yeah. Well, and then so let's talk about a real quick. We got a fun story. Obviously you love racing and hill climbing, right? But I bet. Oh, hold on, I got an autograph to sign. What's up, dude? What's your name? Owen. Are you having fun at Heydays, dude? How old are you? 9. You're a stud, dude. Keep ripping, okay? There you go, bud. Obviously you love the hill climbing side of things, but probably my fondest memories is getting every time we get to ride, right?
Right.
I mean, how many times at the Polaris photo shoot when they're like, okay, guys, we got to reset and do some camera work, and Keith and I are like, okay, we'll be right back.
We got 5 minutes? That means 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yep. So the 5 minute definitely always turns for 15 minutes, and then we have the call in the headset of, thanks guys. Then we get the call in the headset. We're ready. Yeah, we're gonna be just a minute.
We're like on the backside of a mountain in a deep drainage, like flipped upside down. We're just sliding down logs and, you know, putting these sleds to the ultimate test, right?
On photo shoot sleds.
On photo shoot sleds.
Yeah.
So I don't know, some of you guys might remember I posted, and it sucked because I wanted to post it. It was such a good video, but we had to wait until the 2020s were released. So last year, you and I, same scenario, right? Okay, guys, go ahead and do your thing. Go to we're setting up cameras, right?
Yeah.
And so you and I, we find this awesome drainage. You wheelie across this thing, get a little hung up, and I'm coming for you, right?
Yeah, dude, your ski was touching my butt.
I literally ran over Keith Curtis, and it's so funny. Like listening to the GoPro shot, I did not let off, and I knew I wasn't gonna kill you. I mean, but it's like, and because
we were both wide open.
Yeah, all I kept thinking, I'm like, well, Keith wouldn't let off. I ain't letting off.
I think you're using my tunnel for traction, literally. And your ski was on my butt. You were basically pushing me up this mountain, and Burandt just had a little bit more momentum, and I had to end up turning out, and he's like, no! And I think I was like, no, and Burandt was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, ah.
Anytime you can look down and see Keith Curtis, I was like, yes, this is working.
And of course, I get back to Burandt, I'm like, all right, let's go again. Take another lap here.
Yeah.
Never defeated. And it's just like, you know, we guys like us get to ride together very rarely. I mean, Chris and I ride every day or every once in a while guiding, but when we get the team together and all of us in the same realm, then that's when it gets so, it's not like competitive, but you can feel it in the air.
It's not competitive?
No, it's not like verbally
I would
competitive.
I would say it's competitive. I would say it's friggin', it's like terrifying. What are we going to get into?
And the rule is I always say, you better be on the podium leaving. If you're behind the fourth dude, you're done. Like, you're not making it.
Yeah. So, Ross, you have a story, and you tell this story a lot. So, Climb Backcountry Team Ride, we get everybody to come down to Colorado, right? And we love getting everybody down to Colorado because, A, we're at 12,000 feet, we're in sugar snow, we're in our element, right? And everybody comes down there and is like, oh, this is terrible. Wow, my sled doesn't run, I can't breathe. And me and Ross are just like, yes.
Yeah.
And so you remember the line, you remember the day. Why don't you tell that story?
Well, the day you and Keith were on Stalkers, 163s. We're on a 74.
He was on a 74.
You cheater.
I was on 74. Hey, we swapped a little bit.
and I was on a 55 turbo. I wish I wasn't on that sled because it made for a lot of work. But you know, you two took off. I kind of got shuffled back, and I knew the hill. I had that advantage. I knew the hill we were going up, and I don't know if I'd been out of the top before, and I got hung up a couple times getting up this hill.
And this was a hill you did not want to get hung up on.
No. It was bad. I was like rolling my sled strategically, doing all these things, and you two made it up there, and you're sitting up there on radio. I can hear you every once in a while, and they're like, we're about to come down. And I get on the radio. I'm like, you two stay up there. I will make it. It was like everything I had, and I finally did it, but man, I was toast.
Brett and I were giving each other high fives at the top.
Yeah.
Well,
listening to the carnage below.
Oh, and that was what was so fun about that hill was it. I mean, it was like the start of Erzberg, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really was.
A line of 12 dudes and just chaos.
Yeah.
And you know, Keith, this is the one thing that as I try to keep improving my riding, and we talked about this last night. We could do a whole podcast with you, Keith, because there's a lot of fun things. But one of the things we talked about, you got to do Romaniacs on a dirt bike this year, which is one of it. Well, after hearing it, it is the gnarliest event on the planet on a dirt bike, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but one of the things that I heard you talking about, and I could totally relate to, is if you didn't pull the gnarly technical section clean the first time, it just starts the snowball effect is what you called it, right? And so when you have that snowball effect, it's exactly what happened to Ross, right? So you and I, luckily, we played our cards right, had our momentum, our plan B, and we were able to pull the line clean.
Yep.
So when you can do that,
one and done.
One and done. We're conserving energy. We're high-fiving. We're laughing. Just thinking about what Ross is going through down there, right? So we relate it like, so our battery, we went from 100% at the bottom.
Yep.
We were at 90. Right? We exerted some energy.
95,
And so here's Roscoe plugging into the wall.
Yeah,
because
I'm jumping myself. I'm at 0, red line. Yeah.
And they're all sweating. They're all working hard, rolling sleds, trying to gain this elevation that is so hard to gain once a few of us riders go through. And that same goes for Erzberg and Romaniacs. Normally, those first few guys go, or first 5-10 guys go, or whatever. They wipe off that traction layer, and it is slippery and gnarly, and just hard to make your way through that same section, especially on snowmobiles, because we're trenching 2 to 3 feet sometimes, and there's only a couple lines through the trees in some spots.
Yep.
And once you wash into that lower tree, Burandt loves to do it to me. I think he does it on purpose these days. He's like, oh yeah, let me just give it a little more gas right here. Takes all of it away, and then you really have to regroup.
Yeah, when you trench down to the tree, you're really leaving some bad stuff, bad juju for the guy behind you.
Yeah,
especially you guys in your Colorado snow, you get accustomed to it, and it's very challenging snow to ride. But in the end, it makes you a better rider.
That's right.
And you guys are so used to it, you know what the sled is going to react like. You know how to keep your momentum through certain things, and that's ultimately what it comes down to is just being comfortable and in your realm where you're at.
Well, so Keith, literally, we can do an entire podcast with you, and we're gonna have to do that.
We will.
We will.
We need to do that.
But we got some other guests that we want to get in here. So I just wanted to say thanks. I cannot wait. The next time you and I will get to ride will probably be the 2021 photo shoot.
Probably.
I wish we could tell you guys what we're going to be riding, but we got some fun stuff. So yes, Keith, hopefully we can hook up together sooner, and we'll go for a ride. But in the meantime, keep kicking everybody's butt, and I love watching it, man.
Right on, guys.
Okay, dude.
Good times.
All right.
Keith, appreciate
Later,
it.
guys.
All right. So Dan Adams. We have. So Keith was calling me the OG,
but we have
we actually have the OG.
Whoa! Look at that.
we have a stacked field. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but those are the Anderson boys just pinned on the Heydays track.
Yeah, it's so much cool stuff, fun stuff going on. Again, we're at the climb booth, which is right outside the track where they're doing races over there in the UTV class. And Dan Adams, what is up, buddy?
Bring it in.
What up? How's that volume? You good?
It's perfect.
Oh, good.
Perfect. Yeah, those things. Well, Fox is not going to enjoy themselves all day.
Yeah, hearing that.
Stephen Clark's
right?
like, is this our whole day?
Yeah. Well, Dan, man, we have so many great things and fun things to talk about. We again, another person that we could spend an entire podcast or an entire day talking stories.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the coolest things that I love about Heydays is getting to hang with our boys, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, last night we sat and told stories, listened to Keith's crazy Romaniac story, and
I love it.
And you know, Dan, you're coming off of 3 weeks ago you were in Chile with me.
I loved it, man.
And so a lot of people, and that's probably the number one question we get when we get to Heydays, because everyone was following our social feeds and just like, man, how was Chile? So, Dan Adams,
yeah,
how was Chile for you?
It was truly an amazing experience, Chris. You guys' whole operation, between what you guys do and what I already kind of expected out of the BBA crew, but then the people, the food, the lodging, and obviously the adventure of just getting there and doing all of those things. You know, I've been to Russia riding 6 different times, one of those times with you. So getting to ride on some volcanoes and do this stuff in the middle of, tail end of July, first part of August. I didn't get my August, which that's reasons why I've got to go back. Got to go back. But yeah, man, it was just so much dang fun. And I've told everybody that beyond the experience of all of that, you and I never get a chance to just have 4 days of, you know what, let's just go snowmobiling.
Yeah.
You know, you and I, we've known each other for 20-something years, and it's like every time you and I are around each other, there's a camera in our face, there's something going on where we get to sort of say, hey, what's up? And then, hey, are you going next? Okay, perfect. Like, I'll go do this and you go do that. It's always been something specific. It's never just been, hey, let's just go ride.
Yeah. And that was definitely the most enjoyable part for me was we got to ride as buddies down there. And what's so awesome, Dan, is, and so you and I have been able to make a living at showing people why we love snowmobiling so much, and basically showing our passion through our craft on the snow. And that was, talk about so that first group, I mean, they had two of the best teachers in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this part. So we come out of this really fun drainage, and we get back up to the road, and we had been doing this line. I'm a drill sergeant out there, and I do not take breaks, and I drive these guys to the brink, and
They hate Burandt.
and then, yeah, everyone thinks they want to ride with me, and then after one day, they're like, maybe we should go ride with Ross. And I'm like, yeah, he's a lot nicer. But so we had bombed off of this road all the way down to the bottom, turn around, come back up multiple times,
Yeah,
right? And the
so much fun.
clients, you could tell they were getting a little tired. So you and I, we rip down there, we come up, we high five, and we're watching everybody come down. And we got Eric Budge, right, coming up. And it's really cool to see Eric's been riding with us for 3 years now, and to see his progression is
Certainly.
just awesome. But we got Eric to the brink.
I know right where we are right now. It's so good.
Yep. And so Eric's coming up, and we're looking at him, we're cheering him on, and all of a sudden you can just see he's getting a little tired, eyes are going down, and he turns that sled on the left ski and goes and grabs the mountain bar, gets the butt out. I mean, textbook butt out
hug,
right?
That's it.
And Dan's description of this was the best ever. Dan, I want you to describe, tell everybody how you described that.
So it reminded me, the way you and I reacted to him grabbing that mountain bar was like a couple of like healers on the back of like a cowboy's flatbed. Like you got close to the truck. I mean, we were like, what? Oh my God! And we just were like barking animals.
Running.
He gets to the top, and he's just like on his last breath, and you and I just no mercy whatsoever. What was that?
Yeah.
And just
You never touched the mountain.
Oh, we just went nuts at him, dude. Just like a couple of vicious dogs, man. So, yeah, cool experience for a lot of these guys. Remember Cade up on the hillside saying, you know what, I got Chris Burandt, Dan Adams teaching me all of these tricks and tips and things along the side hill, and it's like, for those guys, man, what a memorable time. It was so awesome.
Yeah, and then I guess another one of those memorable moments for me with you down there is end of day 2. Guys are tired, but
yeah.
day 2 is the huge building day,
It
right?
is.
Day
Yep.
1 is trying to forget about the bad habits you have, trying to incorporate all of these things. That it's a frustrating day. Day 2 is where we really get better, and we took them to the point of no return, right?
Yeah.
And we got them into a position where you have to do it, or the sled's going to tomahawk you, roll over you. But it was all the things we had been working up to that beginning of the day, and to see everybody, and so kind of to back up, we took everybody to this big wind lip that I made them. Basically forced them to go on a controlled downhill descent and paneling out the snowmobile.
That's right.
And it's just it's incredible to see the look on their face when I say, okay, this is what we're doing, and they're looking at each other like, he's not serious, right? And but then I got my reinforcement, Dan Adams, saying, hey, get over there, get going, and
you could see some of them how they were like, oh, this is just going to be for the guys that want to do it.
yeah.
So you got Kelderman and Sean, and even Eric Budge is like way back. He's like, I'm going to just film this. And we're like,
Dan,
no, actually, this is
Dan's
the
got
way.
the whip, like,
Yeah.
get over there.
Yeah.
It was great, man. That teachable moment, like I had told you in one of my posts, man, a really memorable spot for me. Because you got to know, like I had said, we get a lot of opportunities to talk. We get very few opportunities where we're on snow together. And when we are on snow together, it's, let's go shred, let's go do this. So seeing you and Andrew and how you guys interact with your customers and what positions you're going to put those guys in, because, I say it all the time back home, it's not next level, let's stay the same clinics. We have to push you outside of your comfort zone. And you could tell that was the limit. You could see that was the coping of the vert ramp of their comfort zone. They were like, okay, I'm going to do what now? And they just listened to instruction, and the success from that, and even though there was some little failures within that, you watched everybody ride away from that, and they were chest out, they were breathing, and they were like, that was awesome, because I might have gone into that with sort of shaking my head like, nope, this isn't happening, and when it did, that's how you build. That's another building block of confidence.
Yeah. So one thing that I really enjoyed, I loved the riding part, of course, but one thing that has really changed in my business over the last 3 years is our focus on teaching.
Yeah.
And you are be elite. I mean, your business model, what you and your crew do. I mean, you guys are, and we send a lot of people to you that aren't quite ready for us. But one of the things that I think that what's really cool about you and I is the dynamic that we have is it would be really easy to work against each other, right? But we have both just basically agreed, like, man, I love what Dan does. I love his craft, and I've taken things from how you teach, and I've incorporated it into mine, and vice versa, right? You've been able to use some things that we do, and incorporate that into your program. And so I think that's what's was a really enjoyable part for me is you knew exactly what I was saying. You could have finished my sentence, and I could have finished your sentence, and that I think that's what's so important for all of these people who wonder, like, man, is it worth the money to go see these guys?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we work so hard to prove.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
Is that both of our goals, and ours at BBA is very simple. We guarantee you will leave with a skill set as long as you give me the effort.
That's right.
You will leave there with a better skill set, and you will look at terrain completely different when you go home.
Yeah, nearly word for word. You'll get out of the clinic what you put into it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You come fresh off the couch with a potato chip diet. You're putting into the clinic what you're going to get. You have to train for this. That's why I love the way the feeds have been going, and you guys are, prior to riding, out hitting the gym. And it doesn't come just because we have lightweight snowmobiles. Like,
right.
We have to put time and effort into this. You and I aren't 20 any longer. So we work out and we push this as hard as we can. Back to your point about our businesses and the way they work together, I think that there is a perception that between BBA, Next Level, and any other type of clinic that's out there, between you and I, the way we have diversified our companies, it works almost hand in hand. Like, I have to have BBA. I have to have you in terms of, like, where another level is. You guys want to see what it looks like to see the wings on the fly? Like, this is it. This is this whole sport in fast forward. And I love that. So the guy that's the intro, he's trying to build that foundation. Yeah, that's my solid.
You, dude.
That's my business plan.
Yep.
That's the guys that, you know what, I want to get this guy or gal super confident in just those intro movements that's going to really let them understand what is happening, where their body needs to be on the sled to get it to do what it's going to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what's so, and I think here's what's so awesome is the way we know that all the work and effort that we're doing is working is when I get a client who says, yeah, I've been to Dan's a couple of times and now I'm at yours.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that means Dan is doing his job, right? It wasn't, the guy came to the experience and said, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go do my Togety thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think it's as important for us to ensure that these people have the experience that they want so we can keep bringing people in.
Yeah, we got to continue to drive this sport. We know how many people are involved within the industry, and I think it's a big part of what you and I do, what we do, not only for the companies that we represent, but it's the involvement of, being at events like this and letting people know that, that is truly what you and I are all about. Like, we have jobs and can consider ourselves professional snowmobilers, and it's because we've built a business around allowing us to ride.
Yeah.
We have customers that come, they pay for you and I's knowledge of what we do on snow. And all we're doing is we're continuing to perfect our craft at the same time, but we're allowing people in on the things that took you and I so many years to perfect, right? Yeah. And it's just, what a fantastic world, man.
Yeah.
So 10 years for me, 12, 13 for you. I've been doing it a long time, dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
so.
and it's cool. And again, when we do the Dan Adams podcast, we need to rewind back to and talk about sled neck days. Both you and I. So we'll save that one for another one. But real quick, I got one more topic for you.
Yeah,
we got time. You're good.
Okay, I have to. I'm going to already apologize.
Oh my God! Here we go.
So unfortunately, I gave Dan Adams the disease.
Yeah.
God, I already know what this is.
The lightweight
the
disease.
lightweight disease,
right?
Yeah.
So last year you took it about almost as far as you could.
Yeah.
Right. So carbon skid.
Yeah.
We did some tie. We did the seat tank. We did.
Yep.
So cut tunnel.
Oh
right?
man, so good.
I don't know how many conversations we had on the phone. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, so this. I did this last year. I would do it this way this year.
Yep.
So tell me about it, bud. How's it been?
So exactly. So
hold on. Let me set you up one more way. 2 years ago,
here it is.
You built
That's how I was gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 years ago, you built what you thought was the Unicorn Sled.
It was.
Tell me what it was.
So built a 174 big turboed sled, biggest turbo. I mean, all the fanciness. 250 horse, and just. Well, for what it was, right, a pretty incredible machine.
Yeah.
But my God, you're just so much work for a little guy like me. Trying to make sense of something that big. Did it have power? Did it float? Did it, in a straight line? Was it unreal? And it was literally coming out of my hands, terrifying.
Yeah. Vogue tune, 250 horse. Yeah. Yep.
But all of those things, 3-inch chain case, big power, and all it really was to me was just a ton of work.
Sure.
And so go from that to getting a chance to ride, in my opinion, still the lightest, axis that it's the lightest thing that we've ever seen or been on the snow with. Jenny Craig was one of the stupidest snowmobiles I would have only hoped to be able to ride it longer because when I first got on it, I was like, that thing is, it's in a league of its own. It would take a while to really get used to harnessing such a lightweight machine with that kind of power, non-turbo, right?
Yeah.
It was just incredible. So,
well, that's what was funny about that day. You had
I had the sled that day.
Yeah, you had your big sled that day, and I was riding my little gun show, right? We were on the climb ride.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody had their turbos, and I bring my Stage 4 Jenny Craig.
The bunny hop sled.
The bunny hop sled.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
What's so crazy about that is that was a 2017, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
It's still easily the most talked about snowmobile.
Yeah, and we continue to talk about it, and holy cow, it was so much work to build that thing, but what it did just baffled me. No matter if Chris was on it, when Dan hopped on it, anybody that knew what to do with it hopped on it, it would just stop the show.
And so after building this sled last year, so I took a 155. What do you got?
You're good.
No.
You're good.
So I took a 155, put a Next-Tech carbon skid, thanks to you, just learning from what you had built and just trying to take, and I didn't go the full route with the milled clutches. And there's definitely a lot more things I could have done to make shenanigans a bit lighter, but it was all that work and all the effort was so worth it for the Climb Backcountry team ride when you went out and just did what I consider this right to left sort of orbit looking hop over and just come back and you just stop, hit your brakes, give me a fist pump, awesome sled. You got to know, buddy, for me, watching you guys build these sleds over the years, to know that I put something together that you were just yep, I got my sled to ride, and just take off. I was so amped with that, and I have the disease. All I'm looking forward to right now is, what sled are we going to put this, we're going to put this thing together again. What carbon, what tie, and I'm now the spokesperson for, you got to make it light, man.
Yeah.
The effort that it takes to get these things done, I'm just truly way more about the weight savings than I am about just the big power anymore.
Yep. And it's it really has changed my focus on my sled builds, and it again, all of the sled stuff is purely driven for what I want to accomplish as a rider.
Yeah.
Because my riding over the years has changed.
Certainly.
And it doesn't matter what that riding is. My goal is to be the best. So when I was doing freestyle, I did whatever I needed to do to go win X Games gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then it shifted to much like what a Kosterky is doing right now, where I'm going to be a part of Sled Next, and it has nothing to do about doing lines. I am going to go. I'm jumping over houses. I'm doing freaking hopovers. I'm doing all of these things, and that's what my focus was, to be the best on there.
Yeah.
Right. And we always talk about how to get sponsored or how to do all that, differentiating yourself from everybody else.
Yep.
And so it's so cool to see for me how, I like changing it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to just keep doing the same thing because
Certainly.
it gets stale.
Yeah.
And so, my goal as a rider now is I love looking at the mountain. And I hear this from clients all the time. I'll never forget, I had a client who was a really good rider last year. And he's like, I'm starting to figure you out. I'm really starting to figure it out. You look at the most a-hole line, and you go up that.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that there is a 50-50 chance that I am going to be upside down in a tree any second.
Yeah.
But if I do everything right, I'm going to make it.
That's right.
And that is, that's why I build the lightweight sleds.
Yeah.
Is because I want it not to be 50-50. I want it to be 70-30. That I have a better chance.
Coming up with what those numbers look like. Yeah. I watch these processes, and Chris, like when you're white, he looks up and he's totally true. He's like, okay, so here's the path of least resistance. Like, this is where maybe an animal will go. Well, the heck with that. Yeah. Because here's this line that has so much risk involved, but the reward at the top of it is being able to either stay up there and listen or to come back around and just see this track where you're like, yeah, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And I really like watching that too. That's awesome.
And when you ride with Chris, if you follow him up a line, he goes, oh, good job. So, like, what'd you do? I'm like, oh, I went line for line. He's like, oh, you're a track poacher. And then if you're like, oh, I took my own line, he goes, oh, you went the easy way. I'm like,
that's right.
Is there any way I can just get some congratulations up here?
So perfect.
Well, and
so true. You're a track poacher. Oh, so I get it. So
yeah. And so Ross has been doing this long enough, following me, where he knows the times where it makes sense to follow, and then he really knows the times to get the hell away from where I am.
Yeah.
The beauty thing is Kyle's just young and dumb. and he loves going line for line. Yeah. And I know, I'm like listening, and I'm like, oh, he's getting to it. And then all of a sudden, go whack, tree, upside down. And then I'm like, wait for it, on the radio. Yeah, I'm going to need a little help down here.
I'm going to change 7 pair of gloves. I'll be back in a minute. Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Well, so Dan, again, we owe our viewers or listeners, we owe them a Keith Curtis podcast. We owe them a Dan Adams podcast. I just want to say thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
And spending a little time this morning with us. And then we're going to get Andy Thomas on here. I think he's around.
He's right there.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
But again, dude, I just want to say it's you're a great representative of the sport. I love to call you a friend, and it's what we've all been able to do for the people in this industry and everything. It's because guys like yourself and you truly love it, and we couldn't do this if we didn't love it. And
very true.
And it's funny when we get a lot of these people who come by like, how is Chile? Yeah, there's no way. How do you like snow that much?
Yeah.
And it's funny. I mean, I just can't wait to get down there in July.
Yeah.
I had my 4 weeks of summer. That's all I need.
Well, I certainly thought I got my fix. By the time I landed on the plane, I was like, man, can I just get a return trip right now? And it might just be a one-way ticket.
It's funny when you're down there, right, after the first day, and you said this, you're right back into snow mode.
I'm just into snow mode. I was just literally like putting on my gear, and I'm like, it's winter. I mean, to come home and jump on the hot asphalt again, and I still have a blast in the summertime, but my gosh, man, it was so cool. You immediately just go into that almost like illusion that it's winter. Let's just get after it. So
and
a lot of fun.
Those guys that went and rode with you two in Chile, they knew it was pretty cool, but I don't think they knew the level of how cool that was to have you two working together. I tried to get Burandt to let me pay my way down there, but he wouldn't even. I couldn't even go. I had to go later. So pissed.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, you know what? To reiterate with you guys, dude, Chris, same deal, man. I would say it to anybody. The time that I have spent in snowmobiling, whether it was because I thought it was just a fun thing to do. And you and I have the same sort of parallel lives where snowmobiling was a passion. It all of a sudden became this, it was a hobby, but then it was a hobby that would kind of pay for itself, and now it's turned into this full-blown where it is what you and I do as a career, and it's an amazing deal. But I would say it to anybody, man, beyond all of this, beyond the sponsorships, the places we've been able to go ride, and all of those things, it's the relationships that I have created along the way that have made what snowmobiling is to me, is the friendships, the people that I have been able to connect with, the families, the going on the trips, the vacations, all of those things, but the core relationships that we have built because of this sport is what has made it a true life.
Yeah, so. It's we are pretty blessed, and I'm very thankful for it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Ross.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Next up on deck, Andy Thomas. Wheat. What's up, dude?
Oh, just another day. Heydays.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's already here. Quick summer.
It was a quick summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, you didn't have a summer. You went straight to Chile.
I didn't. It was crazy. My last day on the snow in Colorado was June 24th. And I don't know if you saw that video, but it was like pow.
Oh, yeah. I saw
pow.
it. I was jealous. I was hating on you so bad.
We could have had the Climb Backcountry team ride end of June.
Yeah, we could have had another one.
Another one.
Yeah.
That's what we should have done. And so, I had a few weeks off and then went to Chile, and now it's Heydays, bow hunt, and then it's here again.
Yeah.
So I saw you commented on my post the other day that you're ready for bow hunting. Are you a bow hunter?
Big time.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, talk about another super challenging sport, right? That is very humbling. You get punished when you make mistakes, and can be very frustrating and rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like you have to read the animals, learn how they live, learn everything about them, and then they still outsmart you.
Yeah, they have the advantage.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's what's fun about it. It's just the challenge of doing that is so much fun. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about your program. For those of you who don't know Andy, he's a very successful racer on the rimshot circuit. Many of you might not know that he's an absolute ripper.
Savage tree rider.
Savage in the backcountry. It's been really cool. I got some fun stories about you. The first time we rode, do you remember Island Park? Right?
Yeah, it was when they released the Axis, right?
Yep.
In 16?
Yep.
Yep.
And I remember it was you and Justin, and we had a pretty stacked crew that day.
Really stacked. Tony Jenkins, we had a few really fun guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I always love when I get to go to an area like Island Park, for example. Low elevation, a snowpack, right?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I'm gonna go destroy these guys. And one thing I remember is you guys were awesome because you were very inquisitive, right? Like, hey, when you did that right there, what were you doing? And I really love that, right? Yeah. I mean, I enjoy getting people stuck, but I enjoy more seeing people make it and success. And so, tell me what your thoughts were on that first ride there, because we had never ridden together.
No, it was insane, and I had always wanted to ride with you. We kind of just showed up, weren't invited, kind of just showed up. I think was Jared Sessions there?
Yep.
Yeah, so we came with him, and it was really cool. We're like waiting all morning to go riding, but of course you had to talk to everybody and like do your
my program's a little slow in the morning. Yeah.
But anyways, and then we go and we're just like, and me and Justin grew up riding gnarly stuff just like that, so we didn't have any issues. But we get up in there and we're excited, And if you're not on the podium, then you're probably like running through ruts, logs, and we're just trying to make it there, So that morning was pretty crazy. It was a lot of fun, and I do remember asking you, I can't remember what you did. I think you just dropped in and turned around and came back up, and it was something that I had been struggling on with, not making enough momentum in my drop in and then always getting stuck coming back up. So I'm just like, hey, what do you do here? And I remember you told me, I'm like, oh gosh.
Oh, that makes sense.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was crazy. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a lot of fun.
Well, that was a lot of fun, and again, something, and we talked about it with Keith just a few minutes ago, is to think back many years and see where Keith's level was, and to see. I get the question a lot, like, who can hang with you? I get that question a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think of the Keith Curtises, the Luke Rainey's, my team, my guys, because I whip them into shape and
Forced.
yeah,
Forced into shape.
And then I fast forward to. So our Climb Backcountry team ride this year, where we had a ton of fun on the vintage ride, right?
Yeah.
And we got to do
So
that.
much fun.
But then one of the most terrifying rides I've ever been on.
Right after that,
right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily that the terrain that was terrifying. It was the snow conditions that we had with the terrain that we were in.
Dude, I know. I was side hilling right below Keith. And you know how it kind of creates a roost there, and the snow was just snowballing, creating huge snowballs.
It pitched you down the mountain, didn't it?
Yeah. I was right behind Keith, and he's riding, and all of a sudden this snowball starts tumbling like 20 feet above me, and it grew bigger than my snowmobile, and it smoked my sled. The worst spot ever. It was this huge ravine. My sled just started tumbling, and luckily it stopped. I look back, and Ross is like chilling back there, and he's like, hey, watch out. And we look up, and Matt and his sled is just tomahawking down the hill, and it missed my sled by like 5 feet, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is Jackson without the hill help.
Yeah. Well, and no catch fence.
No catch fence. Yeah.
The trees were the catch fence.
Yeah. So his sled like goes down and it stops in some trees, and then mine is just barely holding on. It has a stab ski. We move it barely, and it just starts tomahawking down the hill, and it lands on Matt's sled and breaks his hood. And so just carnage of the backcountry team ride. But
we were talking about not being on the podium when you all leave.
Yeah.
Like that was the definition of it.
Yeah, but I started in the back.
Yeah, but you like kill switch people as you go by and
pull their tether.
Yeah. I was back far, and I come over the crest of this hill, and Matt's sled is tomahawking. And then 3 minutes later, Andy's sled. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay here. We got one more day to ride, and I don't need to get.
I'm gonna chill right here.
Yeah.
I remember going across that hill, and it was a hill, just like you said. So the guys had gone through it.
Yep.
And it was a type of snow where it was we had about 6 to 8 inches of soft snow on top, and then just hard, slippery snow.
Yeah.
And I decided to ride a Chaos. I was riding a 55 Chaos, and I remember going across that, and it wanted to high side me so bad, and I was just on my tiptoes praying that it all worked out. And I remember it started to wash out, and I pinned it, closed my eyes, and somehow like it turned straight up, and I luckily had eyes up, and then I just went straight up. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then, I knew exactly where you guys were hung up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what's crazy about that hill, though, is so then we have a little separation, right? We have myself and Luke and Keith. Cole actually made it up there.
Yeah.
And so we get up to the top, and we're radioing down to you guys, and we know it's a mess down there, so we're coming down. And the whole way as I'm making my way down there, I'm like, we got to go down that hill that I was terrified to go up.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Did you get to see me get freaking ragdolled?
Yeah.
You were like a helicopter blade.
It was sketchy enough that we told you guys, don't come help us yet. Let us get out of the way. And so we go down there and we get ready for the show.
And so here's what happened, right? There was very few places to go down. Luke goes down and takes all the fresh snow.
Well, and we went down before Luke.
Yeah.
And so then Keith goes, when you went, there was no snow, just ice.
And it was, we teach this every time. You can never go downhill on 2 skis. You'll go too fast. But the conditions, you couldn't go on edge.
No, if you wanted it,
you were going to die.
You were either going to panel out and die, or stab a ski and die.
Yeah.
You were dying.
You were going to die. You were going to die for sure.
And so Ross just said it. So I'm looking down there, and I'm like, I am going to die. Yeah. But there was no other option, no other way to get down. And so here I go. I'm going down on 2 skis, and it's like this luge, and I'm like, oh God, I just got to get on the other side of this. It was like a big willow, but I swear to God, the branches were about 4 inches around. And so here I come. I smoke through that thing, and then you guys were sitting at the bottom, right?
Yeah,
and
we were at the bottom.
What were you thinking when you were seeing me come?
We're like, Oh man, everybody watch. Burandt has to go down, and there's no snow, and then all of a sudden here you come, just hauling the mail, just going.
And
And
so,
I thought you were maybe gonna make it.
Yeah.
But didn't you just catch a tree like right in your A arms?
So I hit this bush, and when I hit the bush, that sent me into the tree. And you know, as these things are happening, this is what's crazy is I still, at that moment, I had a plan. I mean, I knew it wasn't a great plan.
Yeah. It was the only plan you
It was
could think of.
it was the only plan, and that plan was, okay, I am going to hold on to my sled the very last second here. I'm going to counter steer it. I'm going to throw it.
Yep.
And oh, I forgot to tell. This was Dan Adams' Chaos Sled from Polaris.
Yeah.
Right. And so I ended up doing that, ditching the sled, and I. You know, we talk about people getting tomahawked, right?
Uh-huh.
I got helicoptered. So you see me flying through the air, and I'll never forget what Tittins there said, Brandon. He's like, I thought we just watched you die.
It did look really bad,
Yeah.
but luckily you landed pretty gracefully.
Yeah, landed good, and actually nothing even happened to the sled, and
Yeah.
And what was crazy about that is, and this is what I think about when I think about the Climb Backcountry team is there was no cameras, there was no nothing. It was just a bunch of guys doing dumb shit.
Yep, exactly.
And it was, but
was
again, uncomfortable being comfortable, and there was. I pushed the uncomfortable. All of us did.
Oh, yeah.
That day.
Every one of us were uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah.
one guy would go, the next guy would go higher, and then that guy was like, why did I come up here?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it was so much
All
fun.
of us stopping on edge, just like, where do we go?
do we go?
What do I do now?
And when we stopped, all the snow rolled out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, very tricky and technical, and I mean, but like those are the rides that we remember. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because we only get a handful of them, so we make sure that we remember them and make them count.
Yeah.
When we're all out there.
I don't know if you guys remember. So Kyle, it was Kyle's first backcountry team ride, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's out there being the young gun, right? Trying to show.
He was excited.
He was,
Yeah, he was
that's a
excited.
good way to put it. Mine wasn't as nice.
Yeah.
He was excited, and he sticks his sled in a crap spot, like
Nasty
terrible spot. And
Right
so,
above a cliff.
Right above a cliff. Yep. And I see Luke. Luke goes up and he parks a little ways away. And who else came? Who else came to? Were you there to help? Yeah. Yeah.
I was over there. Me
Yeah.
and Luke and
Yeah.
you.
And so I'm down at the bottom and I'm looking and I saw you guys had to walk into Kyle. So when Luke Rainey and Andy Thomas have to walk into something, that's telling you what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm at the bottom of this thing and I'm looking, I'm like, dude, there's a little shelf I can park there so I don't have to walk.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I probably shouldn't, but I
Okay,
really
I'm
want
gonna do
to. And I start my sled and I get up there and I park it and then instantly regretting my decision as I park on that spot and I'm looking and I'm like, that's a cliff. That's another cliff.
That's a cliff. Yeah.
Where and Luke's like, where are you gonna go? I'm like, well, I think I need to go this way. He's like,
You think you could fit through those trees?
yeah. Oh my gosh. And you know, when I get up there, I'm like, man, I'm on a 155 Chaos
Yep.
that likes a little bit of ski lift, and I'm on the skatey snow, and I'm like, all right, boys, I need a ski pull like you've never ski pulled before, and
You even got a bumper push out of that.
I got a
think.
bumper push
Yeah.
even too, and so that line was not about helping Kyle. That was about me, like, again, just putting myself in a scenario where I know what I need to do, and I need to do everything perfect so I don't wreck this snowmobile.
Right.
That is not yours.
That wasn't mine.
I swear,
Like
Dan.
this
I
snowmobile.
swear, Dan wrecked this, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was pretty cool to hear, you know, getting down to the bottom and hearing you and Luke kind of talk about that. Like, we didn't think you were going to make that. I was like, I didn't think I was going to make it either, actually. Actually, that's not true. I go into line thinking I'm going to make
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's how I ride. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's those times when you're like, I don't know if I should. And then you're like, either talk yourself out of it or into it. And if you talk yourself out of it, you always regret it. But if you do it, that's when you get better. And
Yeah.
then that's when you're happy the next time. You're like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and go ahead, Russ.
Well, yeah. You just once you start that that cycle of pushing yourself and putting yourself in those positions, then you get comfortable being uncomfortable, like we always talk about, and then you're like, oh, I've been in this situation. These scenarios repeat themselves. The terrain, all of these things kind of repeat themselves, and once you've done it, like Chris, you've done it so long that you're like, oh, I've done this little maneuver so many times. It's a different spot, but I just got to repeat it, and then I'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. And I guess where that whole story brought me to, or brings me back to, is rewind it back to 2016.
Yeah.
You guys were good riders, but there's a big difference between a good rider and a great rider.
Right.
And one thing that
we were hungry.
You were
really
hungry, right? And that's what I love to see when we get clients. Is I get a client who's a good rider, and I give them a ride just like I did with you in 16, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go get you stuck, and you thought you were good, right?
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm going to go show you you're good, but there's another level. Yeah. And what's so exciting for me is when I get that client back, maybe it's not next year, maybe it's not 2 years, but let's just use 4 years later on the Climb Backcountry team ride, I'm looking at Andy Thomas saying, yes, this boy is on it.
Yeah.
And both you and Justin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is such a rewarding part for me in my job and my business and this industry, is to see progression.
Yeah.
And it's why I continue to ride the way I ride too, because I want, I love pushing myself. I do not need motivation from anybody. I'm a very self-motivated person, both in life and business and riding, and so that's very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think the coolest thing that Andy and I are pretty good buddies, partially because we're both kind of in similar situations. Just he's in the race world and I'm in your world, Chris, and we're both young, hungry, like we just talked about, and that's why I'm always like, whenever I see Andy on Instagram or I'm watching stuff, I'm always pulling for him, because I have that same feel. I relate to him, like wanting to get it done.
Yeah, and we push each other in different ways, and that's one thing that I have in common, Ross, with Chris, is we're both motivated. And that's what it takes. You just have to be hungry, and you need to have self-motivation with the sport. Like that ride with you in 2016, I could have been like, man, I don't know if I can be as good as those guys, or I did what I did, and I'm like, I'm gonna ride as much as I can until I can do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I'm excited for you this year.
Thank you.
Your guys' commitment. It's funny. On the outside, it looks like how awesome you get to go hill climb. You get to go ride in the backcountry. If people just had an ounce of an idea of how much time, money, effort, work, all of it that has to go into it,
it's pretty crazy. It's crazy how many people ask me here. They're like, so you take your winter off? And I don't. I work a full-time job through the winter.
Wow.
And nobody, like a lot of people would say I don't have time or whatever, but I just don't sleep a lot, and I try to keep my body healthy, eat good and stay healthy, and it all works out. It's the motivation, the self-motivation. It's exciting, You don't need a lot of sleep when you're excited.
Yep.
Because you're just motivated and you want to get it done, and we love it. We have such a huge passion for snowmobiling, so it's not that hard, to get 3 or 4 hours of sleep for 2 months in a row.
Yeah.
Every night, and so that's what's cool about it, is there's so much progression with snowmobiling, and that's why I love it. So,
well, it's easy. It's easy to make excuses.
It is. It's very easy to just be like, I don't want to wrap that snowmobile tonight. And then the next night you've got to wrap another one, plus put a turbo on. And then all of a sudden it's Friday, you have all this stuff to do, and you need to test on Saturday because it's your only day off that week. And so it's always getting stuff done.
Or in your situation, right? You work your job, right? At night you work on your sleds, and then it would be awesome to sleep in. But hold on, I gotta be in shape. So I gotta wake up early and I gotta work out. Yeah. Right?
And that's kind of funny about me, is I am not a morning person. So I actually work out every day from after work from like 4 to 5:30 or 5:30 to 6, and then I just make it. I'm like, I will work out for an hour today, and then stay up an hour later. Because I'm not a morning person. I can't get a lot done in the morning. Like I'm like really good at drinking coffee and driving to work and then getting started. But so I just make the time I can. I know my body, and it's not in the morning that I get to work out.
Well, and I guess again, one of the quotes from social that I love, and this person motivates me, Cameron Haynes, right? Bow hunter is.
Oh yeah.
Nobody cares. Work harder.
Yeah.
Because anytime I hear the, but, and all I can think before they even finish the sentence, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Work harder.
Nobody else does either.
Yeah. So because it's like we said, it's easy to take the easy route.
Yeah.
And it's just not the way I was built. And I truly believe all of us have that drive and desire inside of us. It's just whether you want to use it or not.
Yeah, for sure. That's funny you say that, because this week I was doing a workout and I was just dying. I was being such a negative Nancy. I was on my second mile and we were doing a few other things, some deadlifts and some pull-ups and stuff, but halfway through the mile I'm just like thinking about walking, and I've never ever walked during a run. I always tell myself I'll run until I fall down. And I was like, who are you having a pity party to? Like, just talking to myself. I'm like, nobody cares except that King of Kings championship trophy at Jackson. It's the only thing that cares about what you're doing right now. So you make a choice if you're going to quit and walk or if you're going to go. And it's like a total picked up some energy, and I just went. But it's mindset and just knowing what you want and going after it, and not being lazy. No excuses.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And one of the things, so over the last 3 years, almost 4 years now, I've started to take fitness and nutrition a lot serious, and it's been incredible to see the differences in my day-to-day and my riding and performance. But one of the things that in my particular workout program I do, it's called Mountain Tough. Mountain Tough, it's definitely geared towards the hunting side of things and elk hunting and everything.
Right.
But one of the things that they stress more than the workout itself is the mental fortitude. And it's every time, so just like what you had there, right? Mentally, if your mind is there and your mind says you can do it, the body is capable of amazing things.
It's insane. You can heal yourself, I swear, with a positive mindset and just wanting something. But I listened to a podcast this week, and they were talking about how there's this person that was having migraines every single day, and the doctor gave him a sugar pill, but told him it was this new pill that it's supposed to work. They're testing it out on this person. That's supposed to be the coolest migraine pill there is. It's just a sugar pill. It does absolutely nothing. This person within a couple days was like, I haven't had a migraine. Like, and then at the end of the month, it was so amazed, like, what is this? And they told him, and it's just like, mindset is such a powerful thing. Like, it's you can, if you think you have a headache, you're gonna have a headache.
I think you just gave me a headache.
That placebo effect, and I think that the one that you're talking about, actually, they told him it was a sugar pill, but they understood the placebo effect of the mind can trick you into feeling this way, and they're like, can you just keep giving me that pill? Like, I don't care that it's not doing anything. Like, it is the mental side of it that changes it all for me. So
it's hilarious. It's so funny, but
awesome.
Kind of crazy.
Ryan is yelling at us.
So Andy, I really appreciate it. I wish you tons of luck this year.
Thanks for having me.
And really just keep doing what you do, dude. Keep working hard. Great attitude. I love seeing guys like yourself working hard, putting yourself up where you need to be in this industry, and we need more. It's so great to see guys like yourself doing that, and like we talked about, the only reason you're where you are at today is because you work your butt off. So it's awesome to have you. We'll be checking in again, and we'll be watching for you on the Rimshaw circuit.
Awesome.
I'm going to call you on this podcast when I see you on top of that podium, Andy. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Right, thanks, guys.
All right, so Roscoe, dude, I think this has been our best podcast yet.
Dude, we have a stacked field. It's been insane. So we're at an hour here, and we got to run. So thank you guys for listening to Wide Open episode 9 right here with some climb athletes, just talking about what those guys have going on. And be sure to subscribe wherever you're at. Share stories. That is the greatest. When you share a story and tag us, we know you're listening, and we appreciate it a lot. So,
and we'll share those stories for you guys too. So appreciate that.
Yep. And we'll be right back.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.